Hello there, Star Wars fans, and welcome to another RebelScum.com video. And today we are talking about the toys of what is considered the era of the new Jedi Order. Now, this is a very long and widespread era. It's a pretty broad portion of the timeline, and actually a over-encumbersome portion of the timeline. It really is huge. So the new Jedi Order, I would say, technically starts around the end of Return of the Jedi, just like pretty much right at the end, when Luke becomes a Jedi, and up to where about the timeline cuts off before we fast forward into the Star Wars Legacy era. That's pretty much where I consider the new Jedi Order era to be. It's from that point all the way up through, the Thrawn trilogy, Dark Empire, the Ujong Vong Wars, the younger adventures of Jason and Jaina, that kind of stuff. The Hand of Thrawn duology, lots of those books. I believe Ambush at Corellia trilogy, all of that is all in the new Jedi Order. Pretty much when Luke is at that point a Jedi, he restarted the Jedi Order, and it just kind of goes from there. But what's really cool is there's other characters that interweave in there from the original trilogy and Legends, but that go on through there, and then there's foundation characters set up from that in Legacy as well. So it's a pretty cool era. Now, of course, the two main characters people usually think when they think New Jedi Order is Jason and Jaina Solo, and those are the twins born to Han Solo and Leia Solo. So the twins were first actually written in by Timothy Zahn during Heir of the Empire. He was actually the first person to write about them. Now, granted, Leia was only pregnant with them at the time, and they were only born in the third book, The Last Command. However, that was technically the first time they were introduced into Star Wars canon, and then later on, Han and Leia had a third child named Anakin Solo, who died at a young age, unfortunately. It would have been really cool to see his character kind of grow up and do some cool adventures of his own, but he was also kind of a plot device necessary for Jason's fall to the dark side. But that's for more New Jedi Order talk later. Here we're talking about the toys. So, like I said, usually people think Jason and Jaina, well, they did get 2 action figures in 3 3/4 scale. In fact, they only got 2 action figures in 3 3/4 scale. They're from one of the final waves of the Star Wars Legacy toy line, and one of the hardest waves and most valuable waves to get a hold of. So here we have Jaina Solo. She's awesome. I really like the bright purple, almost pinkish colored lightsaber that this figure comes with, as well as next to her you have Jason Solo, and I like, in addition to him, I like how it's not a Darth Caedus figure, but I like how he has Ujong Vong stuff all over him as an accessory. I think that's really cool that they included that in there because, well, they were all involved with the Ujong Vong stuff around that era. And speaking of, we have one of the only 2 Ujong Vong figures, period, and that is, well, Ujong Vong. Hasbro didn't take the time to name this one. He's just an Ujong Vong. Now, this figure is the bigger of the 2. The other one was released in the Vintage Collection Nam Anor, and I really like this one. It kind of reminds me of the orc in Return of the King, where he's like, "The age of man is over." The one that spits on the big rock that lands next to him. That guy. You know what I'm talking about, probably. But with him is another very special Jedi character, and that is Kyle Katarn. Kyle Katarn is actually the original, well, let's say Rogue One. And what I mean by that is Kyle Katarn was the original character now in Legends who stole the Death Star plans to get it to the Rebellion. He was the one who got it to them just before Vader caught the Tantive 4 at the beginning of A New Hope. And he was also former Imperial. Later on, of course, he discovered he was Force sensitive and ended up becoming a Jedi Knight in Luke's New Jedi Order. Speaking of Luke's New Jedi Order, we do have a Luke action figure from that era over here in this Evolution pack. It's a pretty cool Evolution pack from the 30th anniversary line where you have a really good looking Qui-Gon, which is fully articulated. the only screen accurate version of Boltar Swan. But really, the most exciting piece here is the new Jedi Order Luke, because that's really the only new Jedi Order era Luke we get in 3 3/4 scale that is in Jedi robes. Of course, there's also the comic pack with Luke in his flight suit from the Heir to the Empire comic pack. There's the Dark Side Luke in the Dark Empire comic pack, and the single Dark Empire carded figure. And this one I think is really cool. A more traditional looking Jedi appearance. I like the unique color they went. I like that bright red color, I guess, tunic, for lack of a better term at the moment. And I just think it's really neat. And then, of course, Kenner did one of the first new Jedi Order figures, I guess without even realizing it, because they hadn't done it yet. And that is the Kyle Katarn figure, the original Kyle Katarn figure, one of 2 that was released on Expanded Universe card. He doesn't come with a lightsaber, but he's still a pretty awesome figure. Other figures include one of the Build-A-Droid figures from the Legacy line, which is the YVH-1, which by some fans is called the Star Wars Terminator because, well, he looks like a T-800, and he is basically just the anti-Yu Vong. He was a droid developed by Lando to kill Yu Vong, and it's a pretty cool-looking droid. But we didn't have that in front of us here today because, like I said, that's a Build-A-Droid. Other figures include a Black Series. There's one Black Series figure from this era, and that is the Black Series Jaina Solo, where she's in her flight suit, and she looks awesome. She's got a nice bright purple-bladed lightsaber. I would love to see, however, a Jason Solo in the future in Black Series just to finish off the pair, even if we don't get any other new Jedi Order characters, even if we never get a Kyle Katarn or many of the other characters that still don't have figures from the new Jedi Order. I would love to at least see a Jason Solo to complete the pairing of Jaina and Jason. And a lot of fans miss those 2 characters. They have some pretty awesome stories and not very many figures, which kind of only adds to their value. It's one of the reasons why this pair of figures right here is so valuable right now. But let's talk about some other characters. Just to name a few at the moment, there's some other cool characters that I think that could get figures. These were just characters I thought would be neat. For example, there's Admiral Natasi Dalla. I think she would be cool. She was one of the Imperial admirals that was trying to revitalize the Empire. There is Flint. He was basically a Force sensitive that Luke decided not to train because he sensed some darkness in him. And then, of course, because Luke decided not to train him, he turned to the dark side, so kind of forced that on him there, I suppose. And I think one of the characters, especially picking out of all of the Jedi characters from the new Jedi Order that didn't get a toy in 3 3/4 scale or 6-inch scale yet, is probably one of the coolest, in my opinion, Chewbacca's nephew, Lowbacca. Lowbacca was a Wookiee Jedi in Luke's new Jedi Order, and he was Chewie's nephew. He was also called Loey, which was really cool, I thought, because it was kind of, I think, a fun take, like how Chewbacca was called Chewie. I really would have loved to see him get a figure in the future. Hopefully, Hasbro, please get us a Lowbacca figure. That would be so neat. And hopefully Hasbro, maybe they see this and they're like, oh yeah, we've been doing Legends stuff. Let's revisit the new Jedi Order. Maybe they'll repack the Jaina figure we got in the Black Series Phase 3 packaging. I believe she's number 56, I want to say. Maybe they'll repack her in one of those comic style packs that we got earlier in 2021. Maybe we'll get a Jason figure in one of those comic style packs, or even better yet, a Darth Caedus figure. That's another one of the things. While I said we got a Jason, we never got a Darth Caedus. And a lot of people would love a Darth Caedus. It was a really cool turn to the dark side that, some fans, yeah, a lot of them saw it coming because somebody was going to have to turn. And he was kind of the previously Legends version of what we now have as Kylo Ren. And, of course, Jaina was what we now have as Rey. But it would have been really cool to see the side-by-sides of, for those of us collectors who want it, have a Kylo Ren and a Darth Caedus standing side-by-side to each other. Having a Jaina and Rey standing side-by-side, because we can have that, but we just can't have Jaina and Jason, unfortunately. So hopefully in the future we'll get that. Anyway, what are some of your favorite new Jedi Order characters? There's just too many to just name off. Oh, there's this guy, there's this guy, there's this guy, there's this guy. And one of the other ones I meant to mention previously is Jagged Fell is probably the other one I would really love to get a figure of. Because not only is Jagged Fell influential in that era, but he's the man who starts the Empire, a new benevolent empire. And of course, he is the descendant of Suntir Fel, one of the greatest pilots in the galaxy and one of the greatest Imperials of all time. But also, he marries Jaina Solo, which I think is also very, very cool. So, there you go. Anyway, what are some other characters that I may not have mentioned that you would love to see a toy of? Would you like to see some of these characters in Black Series someday? I would love a Black Series Zhu Bong, for example. What are some other characters that I just didn't mention in general? What are some vehicles maybe you would like to see? Because I know there were some other cool new vehicles. For example, the Chiss Claw Fighter is one of my favorites from that era that never got a toy, I don't think, in any capacity. That would have been cool. It's like a Chiss take on a TIE Fighter. It looks really neat. It's all curvy. But what are some other things you would like to see? Let us know in the comments. Please like, subscribe, follow us on all of our social media, and check out rebelscum.com for new videos and new articles all the time. And that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys later. We'll see you another time. May the Force be with all of you, you Rebel Scum.